My name's Marlene Neufeld.
And my name is Bob Neufeld. And today we'd like to talk a little bit about making it bigger.
Most of us have been trained to minimize, make things smaller, try to make our emotions manageable, try to make them go away. Don't be angry, don't be scared.
But what we'd like to do here is show you some playful ways that you can do the opposite. Quite frequently, it's very hard for us to make things smaller without squelching something that's very important. So we want to play with today is a few methods of make it bigger in a friendly way so that the energy changes. Or as we often say, so it pops into something else.
For example, sometimes I'm feeling a little bit aggressive.
We all do feel a little bit aggressive at times.
And so I could, try to manage that and try to communicate it and that kind of thing. But sometimes it's just fun to go, nya, nya, nya.
Well, nya to you.
Nya, nya, nya to you too. Nya, 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 nya.
And you think you're so good with your nya, nyas. Yeah.
So what I noticed that it doesn't take long for that kind of thing to actually turn into a sense of connection and almost sexual attraction for you.
It certainly gets into sexual energy very quickly for me. I like that. And it's really actually quite predictable that the energy that comes up is one not of, I want to hurt you, but I want to explore the physical with you.
Especially since we have a container, an agreement that we're allowed to do this with each other in a way that's not going to hurt ourselves or each other.
I think that's a key. We have an agreement that we are willing to do this with each other. And therefore, it's safe. It's playful.
A totally different example is one time when I'd had an interaction with some friends and I didn't feel very good about it. And I could feel a sense in my body that I wasn't breathing deeply and I was sort of holding myself. And as I was tuning into that, it felt very young, very, very old, long time ago that I would have responded that way to something that friends had done. So I actually asked Bob to assist me in making it bigger.
So what Marlene did was, well, she was in what we would call a semi-frozen state around this. In other words, it's hard to move, it's hard to express. So I actually took her arms, and they were really tight actually, and I just pulled them together. That's all I did.
My memory is that you went right across my abdomen because that's where I was really frozen. And as soon as, my memory was that as soon as you did that, my body just took a deeper breath. I just naturally felt like I took a deeper breath, and that's all it really took for me to get back into a sense of ease and flow and loving myself and actually,
in many ways, I think it got you back into your adult state from your frozen child state.
And then I was able to express to my friends in an email what had been going on for me.
Mm-hmm. And this leads into our last example. We had a client recently who was playing with a persona called her saboteur.
So this saboteur is the part of her that would, it's sort of like connected to the upper limit pattern, where it would come in and cause her to forget an appointment she'd made, or cause her to forget to follow up on something, or sort of tell her, oh, it's okay, you don't have to do that, you're not going to be successful anyway.
So in an interview, we got to the fact that this saboteur was the character that limited the pressure that she sometimes put on herself, because the saboteur would be, you forget. So
one of the things that we like to do is when there's something like that, we like to really make that bigger. So we put on one of our favorite ska tunes
called Too Much Pressure.
This pressure's got to stop.
And it basically keeps going like that, with a lovely reggae ska rhythm, and
So
we got her to do movement. We all got into movement.
We were all doing movement to it, and what this allowed to come up for her was a very young part, what we identified later as a 3-year-old part. And the way we could see that is that there was a part of her that was, like, in a very young way, trying to express herself.
Right. So she was going like this, but not all the way with it, because she was limiting herself, and her chin was tight, but she was kind of limiting it.
And so we just encourage her to go all the way with it and to express. And huge waves of emotion and energy came up about how when she was 3, she had been limited. She was angry about what was happening in the family at that time, but she had been limited in her expression of it.
And she was 3, so she wasn't in, the parents controlled this. So it was stuck in her body, and here it was coming out because she was making it bigger.
So we didn't make it wrong, what her parents did. I mean, as I said, I probably did the same thing to my children, tried to socialize them and make their expressions of anger a little bit more manageable. But what had gotten stuck in her was all the grief and the anger about what was going on at that time that she hadn't expressed. So this persona, the sabotager, had come in to sort of help her manage all of that.
So here's been a few examples of making things bigger, and the whole thing is, remember, this is done in a friendly way.
Make sure that you do it in a way that doesn't hurt yourself, doesn't hurt those around you. It's helpful if you have an agreement with those around you that that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to play with making this bigger and see what happens.
And the whole idea, as you've seen in the examples, is release the trapped energy.
And then you're much more in a state of ease and flow.